Even if their shows weren't super successful, it always felt like Foreign was coming down with an emotional high when returning home from a show. Foreign let out a sigh as the car pulled into the driveway next to their apartment, the same old beat up, bumpy driveway they had to drive through to get to the parking spot. Same flickering lamppost, which never seemed to get fixed. Some graffiti spray paint on the side of the building's walls, reading pretty messed up words. Foreign always wondered what exactly the person was writing that they had meant. It was a subjective word, but maybe the person was dissatisfied with the current state of the government, or perhaps they were frustrated about how expensive gas prices were getting. Hell, maybe even just a bad relationship and wanted to express their hatred for their partner in the most extreme way possible. Regardless, Ford would likely never know, but it intrigued her creativity to make her try to understand people's musings. While Ford was momentarily lost in her own thoughts, Dusk had pulled into their usual parking spot. Damn, I don't want to carry that drum set all the way up the stairs late at night. It's heavy as hell, Dusk lamented. Well, if you don't, someone's gonna try and break into the car and steal it, Luna said, without a hint of sympathy present in her eyes. Fine, Dusk triumphed. Thorn didn't even know what she was expecting. Given them they always cared for the instruments up and every time they had a show. Perhaps Dusk was just in a particularly bad mood today. In her defense, the apartment elevator was also currently broken, meaning that they would have to haul their instruments up in several flights of stairs. Dusk and Luna then grabbed their instruments out of the back, freeing Thorn from being wedged up against the door so she could do the same. As the girls began their long trek up the dark staircase with their instruments, Thorn hoped that it would have some dream as little as she had last night. After eating breakfast and getting ready for the morning, Thorn grabbed the car keys to the Soccer Mom minivan and headed off to the arcade. As much as she loved the company of Luna and Dusk, she also loved her alone time wherever she go off, somewhere where she could simply exist her own solitude for a little while. Of course there were other people in the arcade, but she could easily tune them out in a favor in the pinball machine based on The Wizard of Oz, which was one of her favorite arcade of the game. The simplicity of playing the old school video game brought her a lot of joy, and allowed her to turn off her mind off the busyness of the rest of the world. Thorn even felt that it increased her creative drive in some ways. It's easy to get caught up on the loud noise of the world, but focusing on a simple task just relaxed the eco-goth musician in a way that nobody hobby quite ever did. After playing the game by herself for about an hour, Thorn went back to her apartment so she could start her daily writing sessions. Sometimes the girls wrote lyrics together in their own living space, but there was also times where they would just go to each other's rooms to write individually. It really all depended on how creative that they were feeling that day, and that there were times that it helped them bounce ideas off Dusk and Luna. But sometimes the disagreement over simple, picky details, like the placement of a word or arranging notes, became bothersome and distracting. So there was an issue in the space of getting just generally small, given the living room only had 2 gray armchairs and a tan couch to sit on. The girls were in the process of making their first album. It was much harder thing to do than it sounded like it would be. Just to write dozen or so songs, record them, and voila, you have your album, right? Thorn didn't know how this process actually went for other artists, but they had immense trouble putting an album together. Each time, it felt like they got close and they realized a song or two stood out from the rest in a negative way, or they just want to change a certain line or lyric to their CD, was absolutely perfect. All this resulted in their CD taken in favor to put out, because they were never quite satisfied with the final project, even though throughout the world, it was still quite frustrating. Today had been one of those days where writer's block was becoming a real bitch, and Thorn couldn't come up with the lyrics or melody to save her life. She was a lot younger and aspired to be a musician, She always thought of professional artists who made music for a living thing, never had any trouble thinking of catchy lyrics or songs. Boy, was she ever wrong. While she were days where the girls were on fire, creating catchy melodies and memorable lyrics that would connect with the dullest of audiences, there were just as many days as they would, spending hours obsessing over every word for a certain note to use. It was delicate to balance trying everything to try to stay true to the band's style, while writing music really would resonate with the large audience. A hex of love for on your heart is so dumb and corny, Dusk complained. If we played the lyrics, it's gonna sound like we're trying to appeal to the kindergartners. It's not corny, Thorn defended. It just describes how love can take over you and makes you behave in ways that you never thought it would, while referencing our band name. I'm with Thorn on this one, Luna agreed. It's a solid lyric. It could keep the song going. But if we remove the love and just say Hex on your heart, Thorn compromised. Even though it seemed like a better lyrics than they have, she felt responsibility to take over Dusk's objections, seriously given the fact that she was the part of the band too. Oh, I really like that, Dusk nodded. Yeah, me too, Luna replied solitarily. I think we got ourselves a complete lyrics then, Thorn acknowledged. Now we just have to write the rest of the bridge. That will be for another day though, Luna pointed at the clock, which was already hanging at the nail of the apartment wall. We've got another show in an hour at Lester's. That dingy bar and grill. I hate that place, Thorn sighed. That place is paying us to perform though, Dusk reminded. Besides, I kinda like it. We always met some entertaining people there. Yeah, but by entertaining you mean disgusting and annoying, Thorn rolled her eyes. Last time we went there, guys were hitting on us the whole time. I don't like it either any better than you do, but it's a paycheck, Luna shrugged. I guess, Thorn sighed, as she stood from the couch as Luna and Dusk got up from their respective armchairs. Can I use the bathroom to get ready first this time, or do any of you girls need to get in there? You can use it, Luna agreed. I called dibs on it afterwards. Aw man, I was gonna call dibs. Fine though, I guess I'll get ready in there last. Just don't take too long, Dusk pressured. I won't. Luna's the only one who takes too long, Thorn teased, causing the red hair to blush. The Hex girls arrived at their destination, not so glamorous Lester's Bar and Grill. Although the place advertised itself for being both families and people who wanted to destroy their lives. Granted, the last statement may have been Thorn's interpretation. A few people wanted to pass the subject to their families such a crime. The caliber of the bar and patrons was about as low as you can get. Aggressive, mean drunks who would antagonize anyone they would just for the fun of it. Someday will get performed in more precious places than bars, restaurants, and coffee shops, Luna hoped. Let's hope that happens someday soon. I'm not even looking forward to this show tonight, Thorn sighed. This isn't the whole part of making music and share with others they can relate to. These drunk bastards probably couldn't relate to their own mother. Well, yeah, but sadly that's not the world works. You've got to start off most abnormally crappy place than you could think of. And then if you're good enough, you'll be able to move slightly up in the world, Dusk replied. That's a really sad way of thinking about it. Thorn then looked a bit disappointed by Dusk's grim statement. I'm just being real, Dusk shrugged, as she took her drum kit out of the back and then began hauling into Lester's. Thorn tried to purge Dusk's horribly depressing thought out of her mind, as she followed the blonde to Lester's with her guitar. Lester's was just as bad as they remember. The floors were dirty and sticky. There were only a few lamps in the corner for lighting. Worst of all, the customers looked like little drunkards who were just looking for an excuse to cause trouble. What do you chicks want? A deep voice snapped. We're hired to play tonight, Luna said, a bit nervous to the man's confidential remark. We're the Hex girls, Dusk stated more confidently. Oh yeah, Lester told me about you. Name's Muiski. Fred Muiski to be exact, the man introduced himself, not to be confused with Frank Muiski. My brother, who just became a teacher at some boarding school. Foreign thought it might be a bit odd of the detail for the man to mention, but she was thankful that he was kind enough to let them introduce himself. Lester ain't here tonight, so he said I could pay ya. Here you go. Fred handed Dusk an envelope, which he immediately opened. Only $50? Dusk snapped. Lester said it'd be 200. Oh yeah, he told you to tell you that. See, the board heard of how fine them was, so they found rats in the bathroom. So the budget for performing acts had to be cut, Fred explained. No worries, Foreign politely smiled, even though she was still pretty pissed about Lester's lack of communication with them on this. Lester told you could perform right in the front as usual. Fred pointed to the makeshift stage that was set up between the bar and the grill sections. There wasn't much more glamour to speak of on the stage, simply just consist of tape on the floor, microphones, and a couple of amplifiers, and a cheap-looking sound system. Okay, thanks. Foreign then gave her gratitude, despite not being given much of a shouldy argument as they were for them. No problem. I always love supporting local bands, Fred shared, before shifting to his conversation tone louder to address the audience. It didn't seem like there was much of an audience tonight. Around 10 people at the bar looked like they had already had a few too many, and a couple of people were eating at the grill. Not exactly a dream crowd. Now presenting the Tix Girls, Fred announced as the crowd threw the microphone. No, we're the Hex Girls, Foreign corrected in a sassy way. With a strike of the guitar strains turned to the embarrassing mistake, imploring the movement of the band. Oh yeah, I guess you're right, Fred monogatically corrected. Now presenting the Hex Girls. Alright, let's do this, Foreign shouted at the hype to the crowd. Once again, Foreign could feel herself separating from Sally. As much as she hated it, it's what had to be done. She started to play, and Foreign had to hold back in the tears. This was exactly the kind of thing he didn't want when she got into music. While screaming crowds and thousands of excitements was her dream, she'd even go as far as a group of 10 people who gave a shit about her performance. These people looked like they didn't care about anything other than drowning their sorrows at the bottom of the cup. It was an absolute nightmare for her, and it was the antithesis of what she wanted in a musical artist. While she kept holding on to the dream someday, the Hex Girls could be big, or moderately well-liked, along with a small group of people. They could all leave and this trash behind. With an inhale, Foreign held in the cry as she felt it coming, with the last remnants of Sally as she had to go on singing. We're gonna put a spell on you, the Hex Girls then sang in contentment, as Dusk made the final tap to the cymbal. Just show us your boobs already, a drunken audience member shouted inappropriately. No! Foreign snapped, covering her chest area by folding her arms over in an attempt to obscure the boorish man's view. Well, why don't you show me your ass so I can, well, put my foot up on it? Dusk growled. Ladies, calm down. I'm sure he didn't mean anything. Fred defended the man, which Foreign assumed it was likely because the man was a regular patron. The hell he didn't, Dusk festly assessed. Just leave it alone, Dusk. Luna then put her arm around the seething blonde's shoulder to calm her. Yeah, the show's over anyway, so let's just go. This stupid guy isn't worth our time. Foreign then gave her drunken harasser a dirty look. If this stupid place asks us to perform again, I'm never coming back, Dusk threatened, as she picked up an instrument and began to storm out. Luna was right behind her, as well as Foreign. The girls were just about to leave the bar when they noticed the same fans asked for their autographs at Jack's. Oh my gosh, hi! The black-haired girl excitedly yelped. Oh, hi again, Foreign waved. Don't look now, Dusk, but looks like we found the owners of this necklace after all, Luna teased. My necklace? You guys have it? I've been looking for it everywhere, the pink-haired girl revealed. Aw man, do I have to give it back? Dusk playfully whined. Of course you do, Luna snapped, apparently missing the whimsy Dusk's voice. It isn't yours. You guys must be pretty big fans if you come to see our 2 shows in a row, Foreign pointed out. I don't think we'll ever have that happen before. We actually just came in, the black-haired girl informed. We didn't even know you'd been playing here tonight, the blonde stranger added. I'm glad you're here, though. Well, we were here long enough to see what happened with that drunken asshole, however, the pink-haired girl sneered. Sorry you had to deal with that. Yeah, that guy's always been trying to cause trouble. We're regulars here, and we've seen him do stuff like that from time to time again. The blonde rolled her eyes. Don't pay him any mind. Yeah, that guy's always wanting to try to cause trouble, and we're regulars here, and we've seen him do stuff like that time again and again. The blonde rolled her eyes. Don't pay him any mind, though. Thanks, Foreign said, mouthed out the words shape of a smile. Having random strangers stick up for them was quite a nice change. Clearly the girls weren't quite interested in the eco-goth band and their music, so Foreign thought that she'd be friendly enough to get to know them a bit. Do you want to sit down and chat for a bit? Oh my gosh, a chat with the Hex girls? The pink-haired girl gasped. This is not real life. Well, we'd be honored, the black-haired girl said, answered for her friend. Well, here's your necklace back, by the way. Dusk finally huddled over the crystal jewelry. Thank you so much, the pink-haired girl immediately put on. This necklace is very special to me. Is there any particular significance behind it? Foreign inquired. Yeah, it was given to me by my mother. Supposedly it has magical powers that brings good luck to anyone who wears it. I'm not sure if I believe in that stuff, but I love the statement of it, the pink-haired girl explained. Wicked, Luna exclaimed. Given how much astrology that the spiritual emerges, and the whole type of good luck charm was right up her alley. So what are your names? Dusk asked. I'm Nia, the black-haired girl said. She was the first to speak. Samantha, the blonde spoke, having a postscript of explanation. Everyone calls me Sam, though. Bridget, the pink-haired girl said. It's so nice to finally meet you guys, finally. We've been such big fans for a long time. How did you become fans of us, if you don't mind me asking? Foreign questioned. We never really hear from many of our fans. Maybe because we don't usually have any. Oh, come on, girl, Nia teased. You have tons of fans, you just don't know it. We're super into music. Bridget's dad actually works for a record label, so he's got a lot of connections, Sam explained. Well, at first you heard perform the auditorium last year, and from there, we fell in love with your music. Bridget finally answered Foreign's original question. Who wouldn't love such a talented band that basically inspired an eco-goth music genre? Hardly, Foreign lightly chuckled. We made that term up, eco-goth, for to definition our music as a whole new sound. But we're not famous enough for anyone to actually be inspired by us. Why do you guys keep saying you're not famous? Nia challenged politely. So many people loved your Autumn Fest performance. Yeah, everyone says it's the best we've ever had, Sam agreed. We never really took it off from there, though. We're still a local band. And while maybe it goes more than a few fans, we're still playing all the dingy bars and hipster coffee shops, Dusk counter-argued. No one really seems to give that much of a crap about us. Well, we could change that, Sam abruptly stated. How's that? Foreign quirked, her eyebrow showing their skepticism. Like Sam said, my dad works for a record label. He's got all sorts of different connections. So I could talk to him about your band tomorrow. Maybe you can even come to give him the performance, in case if he needs some extra convincing, Bridget offered. Seriously? You'd do that for us? Dusk gasped in surprise. Absolutely, Bridget smiled. You guys are so freaking talented, and the world deserves better to see this. Besides, there's no trouble talking to my dad. He loves discovering new talent in the music industry. Wow, I'm speechless. Thank you so much. Foreign's jaw dropped a little. It's our pleasure, Bridget warmly replied. So since we've got the one and only Hex Girls here, we love to music talk with you guys. And whatever artists are you into? Nia asked. As the Hex Girls began talking to their newly declared three biggest fans about the music they liked and the artists of what they have inspired the girls, Foreign tried to process what just happened to them. She couldn't quite believe that three strangers would not only express such a huge praise for the band, but even an offer to help them put themselves out there in the music industry so they can gain some more fame. Thorn was incredibly grateful for all these new strangers that had come into her life. She had a feeling that maybe this was at long at last the start of something better for the Hex Girls.